So we're going to run Calamares, so we know what the installer is. And there we go. Don't mind their little logo, it's like an infinity sign kind of. Right, we just got to load a module. While it's waiting, we're going to go for British English and go next. Okay, so we get to choose a couple of stuff here. So we can choose what kernel we want. So we could even go for the Zen kernel. And then we can choose the AMD U code or the Intel U code. So we're going to go for the AMD U code. We don't want any NVIDIA, so we're going to go for the normal Linux kernel without NVIDIA. So this installs the latest kernel and not from the one on the ISO. Or then we could get the LTS kernel without any NVIDIA, installs from the LTS Linux kernel. So I'm going to say we're going to stick with this one here. And I think we should be good to go. It's nice that it lets you choose what kernel you could choose. You could also use the Zen kernel, which is sort of based for sort of performance and stuff like that. But we're going to stick with just the standard kernel. So let's go for next. Okay, so we get to choose some programs that we might want to use out of the box. So it's got Arco Linux Team Viewer, Discord, KRDC, which is it's like the KDE based remote desktop client, if I remember rightfully. Qtox, Remina, which is obviously remote desktop viewing, Riot Desktop, Skype for Linux, Slack Desktop, Teams, Telegram Desktop, Tiger VNC, Viber, Wire Desktop and Zoom. Now I don't want any of that, but we've also got a little label there saying communication, so I'm going to imagine we might even have some other sections and categories in this installer, and we do indeed. So we have the development section where you can get Atom, Bracket Spin, Code, Genie plugins, Kdevelop, LeafPad, etc. So we're not going to use any of that. So what do we have next? Office. Okay, we might use something for Office. So we might grab LibreOffice. So let's go for LibreOffice still. And I think that's all we're going to get from there. Do we have any more? We do. So we even have the multimedia section now. So we can get OBS, we can get Ardor, Audacious, Audacity, Celluloid, Clementine, OpenShot, Rhythmbox, Spotify, SM Player, Super Simple Screen Recorder. So quite a few stuff there, but we're going to skip that one as well. Okay, internet section. So at the moment, you might have noticed when we check the website out, the default that's included on the ISO is the Brave web browser. So I wonder if it's included in here. No, so I think it's going to automatically install Brave anyway. So shall we also grab Firefox as an additional web browser? I think we will. But they've got quite a few web browsers here as well. Even Google Chrome if you want the proprietary Google Chrome. So let's go next. Okay, gaming software. So again we have the Arco Linux Meta Steam package. Armitage Ronad, Astro Menace, Chromium BSU, Play on Linux there. Okay, so we're going to skip that one as well. There is a lot of sections here, isn't there? Okay, utility software. Now I really like Albert. I wonder if it's installed by default on here. No, so I'm not going to choose it. I'm going to try and use as close to the defaults as possible. But you can install the application launcher Albert, and they also have the same sort of application launcher in Synapse or Synapse. Time Shift, Systemd Manager, Screen Fetch, BleachBit. Okay, we're going to skip that. But again, a lot you can choose from here. And now it's just general applications. So accessories, file manager, graphics, etc. So we're going to go straight forward. I'm going to imagine that's the last one. It is indeed. Okay, so we're in Europe, London. So we're going to go next. And UK is correct. Let's just test that keyboard out. Perfect. Okay, we're going to do a straight erase disk, and we're going to do it on this Drevo here. And I'm going to get a stopwatch ready just so I can see how long this takes to install. Okay, so we're going to erase disk. And we also get the option to add a swap with or without Hibernate. We're going to go with Hibernate. That way we can test the suspension to disk and make sure hibernation works. So that's going to give us one partition of EFI at 300, one ext4 for our root, which is 77, and then the rest is all going to be assigned to swap to enable the suspend to disk to hibernate properly. So we're going to go next. Okay, user accounts. What should we call this one? Heffy. There we go. And I'm going to use the same password for the administrator and log in automatically. Okay, just review those options. All looks good to me. I quite like the installation process here with the categories of different sort of applications you can install. I like it when an installer includes that for you. Right, starting stopwatch. I'm going to pause the video here, and once it's all installed, we will be booting into our freshly installed Heftor Linux XFCE desktop. Okay, the installation is complete, and it completed in exactly 4 minutes and 45 seconds. So quite a nice and quick install. So now we're going to reboot and check out our freshly installed XFCE desktop. Okay, here we are fully installed, and let's just close this off now. I don't think there's too much in a welcome screen we really need to look at. I think it was mainly for the installation to jump to Calamares. So you do have links to donate, GitHub, Twitch and YouTube. So we're going to get that off auto start now, and let's have a look. I must admit, I think that's a very nice looking desktop. I quite like this widget in the middle. And I quite like that font there for the date and time. Okay, let's have a little look around then. I'm quite excited. It's becoming a bit of a meme on my channel actually with these XFCE desktops. Every time I see a new desktop, I'm like, okay, that might be the best looking one. That might be the best looking one. Yeah, these XFCE desktops I've been taking a look lately do look very nice. Is this got a bit of blur to it? I know it's transparent, or is it? Is that a solid colour? Let's check out the panel setup first. Right, so display, it's a okay size of 30. Right, appearance. Okay, so it doesn't appear to have any transparency effect enabled, but it's using the style from the system theme. We'll have a look at the theming in a moment. The icons I think are Teller, however you say it. So the items we have is the whisker is our menu, Windows buttons. Now, I don't think we quite need the Windows buttons because obviously we have I'm going to assume this is Plank. Yeah, so we have Plank at the bottom here. We'll have a look at the themes for that in a moment as well, which you can launch and sort of close your minimize your applications from. So I don't need it happening in two places. So personally, I would just remove the Windows buttons to get a cleaner top panel, but that's just a personal preference. So we've got rid of that. We also have the workspace switcher, and by default we have 4 set up. Notification area, pulse audio plugin, clock, separator, action buttons and separator. So quite a standard kind of top panel setup. I do like their icon actually, their logo. Right, we think this is Plank and we are pretty much correct there. So the theming is called Glass Pill when you get like a blue shadow and like a round bar, which is actually quite nice. Wow, okay, it comes with a lot of themes out of the box here. So it has Arc, Dark Panel, Pantheon. Does it have Shade, which is my favourite one? We're going to leave it on the default. There is a lot, and it even does have Shade there as well, which looks like that, which doesn't look too bad actually with the top panel as well, but we're going to leave it on the default because actually I don't mind that one. So we're looking for Blue Pill, aren't we? Blue Pill? Where's the Blue Pill? Or was it Glass Pill? There we go. Okay, we're going to leave that like that. It does have icon zoom on by default. Personally, I would take that off. There we go. I prefer it to be like a static size, but nice. So I often say a wallpaper does go a long way, and I think they've obviously realised this because the wallpaper does look very nice with the theming. So what's this here? Can we close that? Why have we still got the panel effect on there of the outline? There we go, that's better. So what's this? Create a launcher on the panel. Okay, I don't think we need that to stay there, do we? Can we get rid of this? Close? No. Okay, I wonder if we can get into the preferences and remove this icon there. So, docklets maybe? Applications, clock, no. Was it there when we first started? Have we done something to open that up? We'll have a look when we reboot whether that's still there or not. So we have our updates here, which is going to be the PAMAC. There we go. So there's quite a few updates that we need to get. So we're going to go ahead and do those updates. It's got transparency effect when we move the windows. So we've got almost a gig to get in updates. So we're going to get that now while we have a look at what applications it has installed out of the box. And of course we did choose to install Firefox as well as a secondary web browser, which is there. Right, we're going to let that go through the update. So it's going to remove bind tools and install bind. I think that's the only change there that's getting removed. So we're going to go for apply. Okay, let's minimize that and have a look at everything else then. So I want to start. We'll start in settings. I don't think there's going to be too much here. So we have a better lock screen GUI, so application for changing better lock screen. Let's open this a minute. Okay, so we can change the wallpapers of the lock screen, change blur intensity, that's pretty cool. And they've got some really nice images here. They've done a good job at choosing sort of wallpapers and images to use for the sort of desktop. As I said, it does go a long way in just sort of your first impressions when you first start something up. So we have Conky Zen here, so I think this is a Conky widget in the middle. I think that's what's going on there. So we have add or remove, deconf editor, so we could do some stuff with deconf editor if we wanted to change any sort of aspects of our desktop there. Of course, our files manager is Funa, and let's just open up Funa and see what Funa looks like with the theming. Okay, quite nice. We've got hidden files showing by default. I'm not sure that I did that. So this theme, we know that the icons are tailored. Well, we don't know that yet. We've just guessed, but I think we're pretty much correct. What theme is this? It looks a bit like Lion in the colours. We'll have a look at that though, so let's close that. Right, so we're going to jump into accessories. So we have the Arco Linux tweak tool, which I showed off in the Arco Linux videos that I've done. We have Kvantum theming manager here. And it's on the default theme as active there, okay. So we have notes, Plank is the dock at the bottom like before. And we also have Vim installed out of the box as well. And we have Variety, which is the wallpaper changer. And I think this can do it on a schedule, although I could be wrong. Okay. So let's go into development now. So by default, you get Sublime Text and Meld. Education, just LibreOffice Math. So we're going to have the whole LibreOffice suite because we chose that in the installation selection for packages. In graphics, we have Ristretto for our images. Peak, record short animated GIFs. I've never used this before. So what? We can go like that. So that's like a frame for something. Record as a GIF. 3, 2, 1. And obviously if that was moving like a YouTube video, stop. And then let's chuck that in pictures a minute. It's quite a cool little program actually. It might be good for like sharing little GIFs on Twitter and stuff. So where's pictures? And there you go, there's our little GIF. Obviously it's not going to be animated because we didn't record any moving images. Okay, that's having trouble opening. Of course we are updating though, so I'll keep forgetting that. So we won't try and open anything crazy just yet while the update is happening. So the cursor is quite a nice theme as well. It's like a little bit like the Mac one when it's loading something. So it's like a spinning ball with colours. The design and sort of aesthetics is really nice on this, I must say. Right, so that was education, graphics. So we also have LibreOffice Draw in there and the colour picker. Okay, interesting. So I don't usually see Qubit Torrent installed by default on a lot of desktops as opposed to like Transmission or something. But that is our default torrent client. I don't mind Qubit Torrent actually. There we go. There's our torrent client there for managing our torrents. And that's going to run in the background in our system tray. That's fine. So internet we just did. Multimedia. So Peak is also in multimedia. We have Guck View as well. We have the Pulse Audio and then the QT V4L2 capture and just the capture utility. VLC is the default media player, so no complaints there. It also comes with XF Burn. I always find it funny that sort of a lot of distros still do come with XF Burn. I mean, I don't ever have a sort of DVD, CD drive on any computers that I use, but no burners are currently available, see, but a lot of distros still actually have this installed out of the box, which is quite funny to me. But I guess a lot of people might have quite old sort of hardware or actually just choose to have a DVD drive in their computer. Right, so multimedia we've done. So Office is going to mainly just be the LibreOffice suite that we did choose to include. And then we have Dictionary and Document Viewer. And in System is just going to be a lot of XFCE stuff. We have GRSync there. Terminal. Okay, let's see how our update is going. Okay, so that's nearly finished. I think it's on the last package there. And then once that's finished, we're going to do a reboot, check how much RAM it is, and just have a little play around with it and see how it all works together. Because it does look very nice indeed. So I'm going to pause the video now and let that update finish. Okay, so we're back off a fresh reboot. Before we open up HTOP, I've just noticed that Create Launcher thing has disappeared. So that's pretty handy. Oh, okay, so we have some nice, I don't know if that's ASCII or not, but we've got some nice values default in our terminal there. So we've got system information, packages. So we've got 1108 packages out of the box. We did choose to install Firefox in the installation, so that's an extra few packages there. XFWM4, of course, Bash is version 5.0.18, terminal is URXVT, terminal font is JetBrains and Mono, and the kernel that we're currently using is 5.8.3-Arch, but of course we could have chosen a different one in the installer, like the Zen kernel or anything else like that. Nice, I quite like this default look. So the RAM that it's saying there is 762, which does seem quite high actually for an XFCE desktop. And HTOP has given us the same. I like the spacing in the terminal though. The whole theming of this desktop's lovely, it looks very nice. We will get a final RAM reading towards the end though, because sometimes you can get a bit higher values after an update and then a reboot, but we'll check that towards the end. But so far, RAM's a bit higher than what I would have expected. And of course there's our swap partition to test out hibernation, which we will do towards the end as well. Okay, we're going to leave this open though. I do like the way everything looks though. Right, let's open up some programs in and see how it all looks together. Did we open the appearance package? We didn't, did we? Okay, so the theme is called Juno Plain Light, and I actually really like it. And it even comes with my other favourites, which are Arc and Arc Darker. But do you know what? For this desktop, I think Juno Plain Light probably looks a whole lot better than what Arc would do. So we're going to open up some of the other Junos, because I've never seen this theme before. So Juno Ocean gives it a bit of a darker feel, and if we open up the Windows Manager, we can change it in there as well to Juno Ocean. Nice, so like a bit of a darker colour there. I really like that. So Juno Mirage, and let's change that to Juno Mirage. Okay, is that lighter? No, it's a bit of a different shade to the Juno Plain Light. Now let's check out just straight Juno. Okay, I'm not a massive fan of that colour scheme there, but the Juno Plain Light and Ocean and Mirage are very nice themes. I'm surprised I've not actually seen these before. So let's go back on there. And then the icons are Teller, Blue, Dark, like we thought, and then it has all of the colours there for Taylor. Do we have any other themes installed out of the box? So it has the Sardi Arc stuff, which is nice to see. Sardi Flat. Surfing Arc. An icon theme for Linux. I've not seen this either. Wow, that's quite a nice theme as well. Well, I'm really liking just the theming and everything about this desktop. It's very pretty. The only thing I'm a bit concerned about so far is the RAM usage out of the box. Okay, very nice. Let's open up some applications in and see how it all works together. So let's open up Writer, which we installed in the installation. Okay, theming's very nice. Did we get the fresh or the still one? I can't remember. So we're on 6.4.6.2, which is probably the still version. So we don't have dictionary support out of the box, so we might want to grab some dictionary support. So let's open up the Brave web browser, which is the default web browser. And let's get a LibreOffice dictionary. I think I've probably spelled that wrong there actually. There we go, English dictionaries, and we're just going to download that and then open it in LibreOffice Writer. That's the download link. So we want the EU one, or the UK, English, British. There we go. Let's get this one here, and we're just going to download that. Let's close LibreOffice and then reopen it with that file. That way we should be able to get sort of auto spelling correct to work properly. You are, got to do a default password there for the keyring. Okay, you're about to install extensions English speaking, hypertension dictionaries, and the thesaurus. Yes, please. Okay, so that should be all installed now. So if we restart now, we've already done that. Thank you very much. So if we go into Writer, we now have the dictionary working as it should. Brilliant. I'll tell you what, let's leave that open for a moment. So we have side-by-side snapping installed out of the box. I wonder if it's got the key bindings. No. And the key binding for Super isn't bound to that. So we're going to jump into the keyboard shortcuts and see what they're all set as. So let's get out of that. So let's go into the keyboard. So to get to most of the keyboard shortcuts and not the application shortcuts here, we're going to go into the Windows Manager tweaks as well. Let's just make that a bit larger. Okay, so it's got none assigned for a lot of this stuff from what I can tell, unless if we go along, there we go. So it has quite a few defaults here, so it even has key bindings for web browsers like Brave, which is Control-Alt-V. And then that will open up the Brave web browser for you, pretty handy. So Chromium, we don't have that installed, we have Catfish there. So the better lock screen, should we test this out? So it's Super and K and Super and L. So let's try Super and L. There we go, that's our lock screen. Pretty tasty looking. We can still see the windows behind it in a transparent kind of effect. And of course we could have adjusted the blur in the better look login screen thing that we saw in the application launcher and Whisker. Nice, that looks really good. So if we just type the password, we're back in. Brilliant, I really like that. Okay, so that's the lock screen there. What else have we got? So we have D menu apparently, which is Super Shift and D. So if we press Super Shift and D, ha, crazy. So we even have the D menu up there that we could launch applications and commands from as well. I didn't expect to see that on an XFCE desktop, but there you go. Anything else that I want to have a look at? So it even has GIMP, but I don't think we have GIMP installed, do we? No, but it does have a shortcut for GIMP, which is going to be Alt and F2, is that correct? Super and F4. So we have GM run, and that is Alt and F2, so let's give that a go. Okay, cool, so we can also execute programs from here. So let's again just test that with Funa. Brilliant, I really like that. So what I would personally do, the same sort of shortcut that I do for Ubuntu, not Ubuntu, for Albert, is I'd assign that to Alt and space. But before we do that, we have to go into the Windows Manager and go into keyboard here and then remove it from the Windows Operations menu. I always just do that as Control space. And then I'm going to change this to Alt space. And now Alt space will open that up kind of like KRunner or whatever it's called in KDE. I really like this so far. I think that's pretty cool to have there. Very nice. So we also have Inkscape shortcuts, PAMAC Manager shortcut. I wonder what that one is. So that is Control Alt and P, which will open up our package manager. There we go. Pretty handy. So we should be all up to date now as well. Brilliant. Do you know what? I'm really liking this so far. Okay, so it's got a load of shortcuts here, isn't it, for a lot of programs, even for ones that aren't installed. So if you go ahead and install stuff, they'll be ready to use for those programs. That's pretty handy. I know it's fairly easy to do yourself, but obviously a bit of work's gone in to do that, which is very nice to see. Okay, brilliant. Right, now I want to see what the sort of moving windows and stuff is. So let's go into the keyboard here. Right, so we want to see what the tiling windows is. So moving window to workspace 1 you can do with Control Alt and then the numbers 1 to 4. But that's not actually working. Control Alt. Oh, that's move window to. So let's try it with this. No, that doesn't seem to actually be doing it for me at the moment. Move window to workspace 1. Control Alt 1. No, okay, not to worry. Right, so it hasn't got the Windows tiling out of the box. So what we're going to do then is do... Oh, hang on. I do like the way Whisker looks on here as well, with the transparency on the left as well for the applications categories. Nice. Right, so we're going to just do the standard super left and rights for this one. So tile window to the left, we're going to go super left, and tile window to the right, super right. Now let's test that with the terminal. There we go, perfect. That's what I like to see. Right, moving desktop. So we have upper, where's left and right? There we go. So the default is Control Alt left and right. I'm just going to do that as Control left and right. So there we go. And now I'm going to do move window to workspace left and right with Control Alt. So the one that it was already on. Wherever that might be. We're going to look for move window to workspace left or right. Here we go. Move window to the left workspace. Control Alt left. Move window to the right, Control Alt right. Let's test that. There we go, that's working. Let me just try with the numbers once more. No, it doesn't seem to work for me, but that working absolutely fine. Brilliant. Okay, cool. I think that's the sort of shortcuts that I really need to check out. And again, I'm very happy with this one here for the sort of G menu run thingy. And I do find it just very strange to have the D menu there, but I'm not too fussed about it. I can kind of get behind it. The idea of why there's quite a bit of RAM usage is starting to sort of rack up in my head there. There are quite a lot of things installed out of the box that I wasn't aware of straight away. So do we have Steam? I don't think we did we? We could have installed it in the sort of installation part. We don't. So there's Peak. I want to test Peak out actually with an actual moving image. Let's go onto YouTube a moment. I'm just going to mute it so we don't get any sound for the second. So let's test it with Instant OS. Right, so we've got a video playing there. Let's open up Peak with this. Oh, very handy. So I guess if we just move this window to here and then resize the window, I think that's got most of it in there. Now we can stop and start. Oh, I missed what the let me do that again to see what the actual. So we can stop and start with Control Alt and R. So let's test that out. Right, so it's going to give us a countdown of 3, 2, 1. Now that's recording a little GIF. 1, 2, 3, and we're going to stop it there. And now we're going to save it in pictures as T-Tech. And let's get out of that. Close tabs. And let's close this one as well. And now let's see how that actually works. So let's go into pictures now, and then there's T-Tech there. Does Restretto not let you actually look at moving GIFs? I guess it doesn't. I wonder if we can open this in VLC. Where's VLC? Where's media? Sound and video. VLC media player. It's not actually moving. I'm sure that's just because we're not using the correct program to actually view it. But I do like the fact that we've got that installed out of the box there. I think that's pretty cool actually. So what's this? Is this just... Right, so I think this is the wallpaper switcher. So if we go to next, there we go. So that's going to change our wallpaper very nice and easy like that. So again, we can go next. And let's go for one more, and then I want to go back to the first one. Oh, I like that as well. Very tasty. Right, let's go to previous again. And again. And one more time now. Brilliant. This is actually a very tasty XFCE desktop. Right, so what we're going to do now is test out hibernation and make sure that works. Let's open up a few programs, and let's also open up, what's the text editor on here? So it has Sublime text editors. Does it have a standard one like LeafPad, Mousepad? Nope. Z? Nope. So I don't think we have a small text editor unless I'm being blind. We have Notes. No. Also Vim is installed out of the box, I suppose. Right, let's just do a little message in here. Testing hibernation. Right, we're now going to try and hibernate. Do we have it in the menu? Hibernate, we do. Right, I'm going to pause the video here because it takes quite a while to hibernate, and we'll see if that all works. Okay, the computer is actually turned off faster than any distro I've attempted to hibernate before very recently, so I'm quite impressed with that. So we're going to hit enter. The screen won't change until it's actually started up. Okay, so we're starting back up now, and hopefully it'll be resuming from hibernation, and all of those programs that we had in the windows on the screen will be there straight away ready for us to use. This has been the fastest it's working, brilliant. That was the fastest hibernation and resuming from hibernation I've actually experienced in quite a while, to be honest with you. So it gets top marks for that. Right, so now what I want to do is do a reboot and get a final RAM reading and just wrap it up there. But so far, I'm actually very impressed with this distribution and just the overall look. The fact that hibernation worked quicker than anything that I've used recently. I know the ones that I've recorded recently that took a while was Gecko Linux. And what was the last one I attempted with hibernation? I can't remember, but that also took a very long time. This was a matter of seconds and it was hibernated to disk without any issues. So we're going to do a reboot now, get a RAM reading, and then just wrap it up there. Okay, so we're back. It does appear that the RAM is actually quite a high reading there from a fresh reboot of 770. But we've got quite a few things installed there, and I guess if you wanted to go through and get things down a bit, it wouldn't be too hard. So let's just check what is in this session and start up. And of course Plank will add a few MB here and there. So what is actually starting up? And we've got Conky. Let's have a look. Can I make this a bit larger? There we go. So in the start we have Blueberry, so I don't need that because my Bluetooth is not enabled on this computer. Conky, Glava, MPD. I don't need notes. Update notifier, that's fine. Variety, which is the wallpaper changer. I'm going to imagine that takes quite a lot as well, actually. Yeah, I'm sure if you wanted to go through it though and sort of manually remove packages and really fine tune what is auto starting, you get a lot better RAM reading. Before we finally wrap it up though, I wonder if we have any Flatpak support enabled out of the box. So Flatpak isn't installed out of the box, and I wonder if Snap is. I doubt it. No, so it's got just the standard native packages, and again I'm going to imagine that AUR is not enabled by default, but of course we can just enable it. That's a good thing about Arch though, most of the packages that you are going to need are going to be here and they're going to be up to date, so you don't need to use any of these universal packaging sort of managements. Oh, wrong one. Let's go into preferences. AUR. There we go. So the AUR is not enabled by default, but it's standard easily processed there. So no, I'm going to wrap the video up there, but I'm actually very happy with this. And again, it's probably not the best looking XFCE desktop I've ever used, but it's pretty close to it. And the amount of polish and just niceties that I didn't expect to be there, like sort of D menu and then this little bad boy there and a few other things, even Variety, the wallpaper changer, I don't mind it. I tend to just choose my own kind of wallpapers, but they've got a good selection of wallpapers installed out of the box there. So that's been Heftor Linux, the XFCE version. Thank you for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please subscribe and also join the Discord. There's a link in the description below. See you on the next one. Bye bye. Right, so today we're going to have a little look at Nix OS. So I've been meaning to do this for a while, and it has been on the distro spinner, but it was just never coming round. And then someone in the comments of the last distro spinner video mentioned that they really just wanted to see a Nix OS video. So I've agreed to do that, and actually I'm quite happy I've done, because this is quite an interesting and unique distribution. Not like one I've actually used before. It has hints of like Fedora Silverblue with that whole sort of atomic upgrades and things like that, but it's kind of a beast of its own making. So what we're going to do is have a look around just the general stuff, but before we do that I'm going to show you the whole installation process, because I think that's quite interesting as well. So before we get going though, we are using the reproducible builds and deployments of Nix, the package manager, which is what they use to build sort of Nix OS. We haven't used their graphical user ISO because it comes with KDE, and we've used a lot of KDE on the channel as of recently. So we went for the minimal install here, and then we just followed their manual to get it installed. And I'll show you it's actually really quite an easy process. You could even, if you wanted to, SSH into it and just copy the commands over, which is what we're going to do now with a virtual machine. Bear in mind your disks may have different device labels and stuff, so you might not want to copy them verbatim. But let's do it now. So we've got a little virtual machine running here. Haven't started the installer yet. So what we're going to do is jump into the installer. So it's all command line, there is no GUI for the installer. And then once that's in, we're going to create a password for the Nix OS user so we can SSH into it. And then we're just going to copy over the commands from the web browser and then get to the configuration file part of it, which is the most interesting part of the whole install. Okay, so we're in. What we're going to do is just quickly go password Nix OS just so we can SSH into it. And then as you can see at the top here, it says sudo system start SSHD. That's what we're going to do to allow SSH access. So sudo system ctl start SSHD. Right, that's done. So let's get an IP address. It should be the same as what my last one was. So I've done a little dummy run. No, it's different. So that's 199. So now we're going to jump into a terminal. Let's minimize this window here. So that should be all good. Yes, we shall add the fingerprint. Type in the password we've just created. Okay, so we are in. What we're going to do is open up the manual. They've got a link to the manual in the applications launcher. So obviously we're using the GNOME desktop on the host, but we'll talk about the decision for using GNOME in a moment as well. So the NixOS manual is there, so we've already got it open in here. So let's just snap that to one side, and then it's also, actually I prefer it on that side. And then we're going to snap that to this side. Right, so we're going to start with installing. So let's just scroll up a little bit. So we don't have to worry about the networking because we know that the network's working because we're SSH'd into it. So we're going to start with partitioning and formatting. Let's just make sure we're definitely on the right part. There we go. So now that's installing. We want... Here we go. So we don't need to boot in the system. We've done that. We don't need to network. We know we've got network working. So we're going to start here, partitioning and formatting. So before we do that, we're going to jump into sudo su to get root privileges. Right, so let's just zoom this in a bit so you can see what's going on. One more. Okay, so if you've ever used like an Arch Linux installer, you'll be used to sort of this way of doing things, although they don't use fdisk, but I do believe you can. Yes, you can use fdisk and a few of the others, but the built-in one that it uses in the manual is called parted, so we can use parted to partition these disks. So what we're going to do is just copy these straight over. So if you're going to do this yourself, make sure that you know what your disk is. So we are using SDA, so we can just copy this straight because that is what's got on the manual. Obviously if you've got more disks than that and you're installing to a different disk, you ain't going to want to copy these commands verbatim. Right, so we're going to copy that first command over. So it's going to say you may need to update etc tab, but as it says here as a note, you can safely ignore parted's informational message about updating etc tab. So that was the first part. Now we're going to do this. Okay, and again you can just keep ignoring that message every time it pops up. Now we're going to make our swap partition, which by default in the manual is 8 gig. Obviously you can change these values if you wanted to. Okay, so now we're going to make the boot partition. We are on EFI on here. We've enabled the EFI flag in VirtualBox. And then the last one in this one, obviously you can do a legacy boot there as well. Okay, so that's that part done. Fairly straightforward. Now we're going to format using just a standard make fs. So we're going to just copy and paste it straight over because we know that everything lines up with what they've got in the manual there. Right, then we're going to do this one for our EFI FAT32. Again, you can just ignore that, that's fine. So we can go straight into installing now. Right, so it does a mount dev disk by label. So we're going to copy this one over and that's going to do it to MNT. Like so. And now we're going to make MNT/boot and then we're also going to mount that at, you guessed it, MNT/boot. Right, that's that one done. So we can also turn the swap on now. So we did make an 8 gig swap, so we might as well turn it on. Right, that's that done. Now is the interesting part, is the NixOS generate config. So this is where your configuration.nix file comes from, and this is where you'll set up your distribution, including packages and everything else in the way you want to do it. So we're not going to go through the whole of it now, but we're going to show you how it all works. So what we're going to do is generate a config. So that will make one for us at mnt/etc/root NixOS/configuration. So you can use Nano, and Nano is built in, but so is Vim. So we're going to use Vim to jump into it. Bang, we're in. Right, so let's minimize this now, and we'll just quickly show you how this all works then. So if we scroll down, you can see there's a lot of stuff that's got the little hash there. So if you uncomment certain things, then that will sort of apply, and then we'll do a NixOS install, and then that'll build the distribution from that. So we're not going to worry too much because we've got a machine going already, but just for argument's sake, let's show you how it works. So we could remove this there, and then we could go Europe and then type in our locale, which is London. And then here, environment system packages is where you're going to do package install system wide. So you can also just do, there's a command to install packages just for the current user, I do believe, but we'll look at that once we've got out of this virtual machine. So what we're going to do is just very quickly remove that, remove that, remove that. Now anything that you type here, any system packages, will be installed for every user as far as I'm aware, and then you can keep rebuilding this configuration file after you've installed to install packages like that. So you can make it a bit nicer in the formatting, so we can just chuck that there and give it its own line. So what that will do now is install all of those packages for you. So you could also just go, let's say for argument's sake, htop and then let's chuck Firefox in there as well. Okay, so that will do that for you. You can also enable SSH somewhere. There it is, so we could uncomment that, but we won't bother doing that now. Okay, so here is your X11 stuff. So you're going to want to uncomment all of this like so. So by default it does have a few sort of ready-made stuff in here for you. So you've got the KDE desktop environments. If you wanted to uncomment all of that, that would install the KDE desktop environment. However, what I've done is I've installed GNOME, but you can install a few more sort of desktops like this, and one that I did try out, which I didn't stay on very long, was Pantheon. I'll get into the reason why we didn't stay on to Pantheon very long either. So if we jump into the manual and just type in, say, Pantheon, as you can see, it's got its own little addition in the manual here. So all we'd have to do is copy this line here, and then obviously if you've got some, you don't need to do this, it will automatically set light DM for you, as long as you uncomment the X11 stuff. Actually, we can keep that full screen. Right, so what we could do now is chuck a couple of lines there. Let's just call this Pantheon. Now we've copied that in, so what that will now do is install a Pantheon desktop environment for us. So let's see if there's anything else we need to really worry about for now. Nah, not really. So obviously you might want to change a lot of this sort of network proxy and host names and things like that, but we're not going to worry about that in this virtual machine. So we're going to quit that now. So that is done. So now what we're going to do is go nix os-install. And then what that's going to do now is build the configuration from that configuration file. Pretty cool, huh? So we're not going to worry about that for now. I'm probably not even going to let that finish, but I just thought I'd show you how that all works. Now we're going to jump into the host. So let's get out of this. Let's just close. We don't worry about that now. I'll let it run for a couple of seconds actually, just so you can see what it does. There we go. So it's now downloading all of that stuff, and then it's going to make a new system out of what we've just put into that configuration file. That's amazing. That's really cool. Right, so let's get out of this now. Close terminal, and we're just going to quit that. I don't need to keep running that now, and it might make running the video a bit easier. So let's just power that off and delete it. Right, so let's get rid of this one, and then we're going to show you the actual configuration file we are using on this host machine. So let's remove, delete all files. Done. Right, so let's jump into our own configuration file. Let's just zoom in a bit, and I'll quickly tell you why we are using GNOME and not Pantheon or anything like that. I also did try out XFCE as well, which ran okay. Okay, so let's jump into you also don't have sudo privileges by default unless you sort of configure it to do that. I've already added Tyler to the sudo group. Right, so we want to go into MNT, no we don't, etc, Nixos, and then we want configuration. Right, so here's our config file. I don't think I've even finished this one properly, to be honest. I'm pretty sure I've left the host name as something silly. Let's have a look. Have I done the host name? Yeah, so I've not even changed the host name on this one yet, to be honest. But as you can see, this is our configuration file. We've done the ENGB UTF-8 for our key layout and stuff like that. We're in Europe, London, and here's the packages that we have got installed system-wide using system packages on here. So we have wget, Vim, Firefox, HTOP, GNOME Free, GNOME Tweaks, and Chrome GNOME Shell. We also have the VirtualBox flags here, so we can run VirtualBox like we were just doing. And then what else have we got? So here we go, I'll show you a couple of things. So we've got the X11 desktop here. So we've got GNOME, which is uncommented because that's what we're currently using. We've also got the XFCE stuff there, so I've commented that just so it doesn't sort of have more than one desktop environment at a time. And as you can see here, we have Pantheon desktop, and I've written into that no single click. So I couldn't get single click to like deactivate and have double click, because elementary tweaks I couldn't find an easy way of doing it, and deconf editor doesn't have the additions in it to actually let me change anything in the files application. But I'll show you what the Pantheon desktop looks like as well. So what I'm going to do now is comment GNOME, and we're going to show you what the Pantheon stuff looks like, and we're also going to show you how it manages. So you have like different boot files for each, I do believe they call them generations, and then you can clean up the generations after you're done with them, or you can leave them there and roll back to a previous version. So let's chuck a comment, let's chuck a little hash in there. Oh, where have we gone? Right, hash hash, and now we're going to go all the way down to the Pantheon desktop environment, and we're just going to remove that bad boy. So now what we're going to do is write and quit that, and we're just going to hash. Oh, where have we gone? Let's chuck a comment. Let's chuck a little hash in there. Oh, where have we gone? Right, hash. In it to actually Okay, welcome to another video. So I thought what we could do in today's video is check out some of the newest features that have made their way into KDE Plasma 5.20, which was released just a few days ago. Now, I've been reading through the release notes and the release announcement here, and there's quite a lot of new features and improvements, making this for a rather large update. So there's no doubt going to be things that we aren't going to cover in today's video, but I've made a note of some of the things that excite me the most, and I thought we could check them out. For anything else that I've skipped, I'll leave links in the description to the release note and the announcements, and you can read through them as well. So the distribution we're going to be using for today's video is going to be KDE Neon, as it's pretty much the best place to showcase the latest and greatest that KDE has to offer. So we're going to start with the most obvious, and something that I think is a lot more important than other people tend to give it credit for, is a nice default desktop wallpaper. So the reason why I say that's more important than a lot of people think, it's oftentimes the first thing a new user is going to see when they load up a new distribution. And if they've got quite an old dated wallpaper, it's going to set the tone for the rest of the desktop, and you never know, they might go and look elsewhere. So we have a new bluish purple kind of pinky there with a nice little pattern, and it's called Shell, and it was made by Lucas Andrade. I hope I've said your name right. Apologies if I've got that slightly wrong. Now moving towards the bottom of our screen, there's been a few little improvements made in around the whole sort of panel area. So not so much a new feature, but just a change from the old default way of doing things. You'll notice that we're now greeted by default with the icons only task manager, as opposed to the more old school way of doing things with the Windows list. Personally, I think this is a change that should have happened quite a long time ago. So whenever I'm using KDE in a single panel layout without a dock, I will instantly always go into my alternatives and put the icons only task manager on, pin my favourite applications, and then I'll be good to go, and it will reserve a whole lot more extra space on your panel. So it's also now gained the feature. If we go into the configure icons only task manager, jump over into the behavior section here. So as you can see in this option here, clicking active task minimizes the task. What that means is if we opened up system settings, for example, clicking the icon will then minimize the task or the window into its own icon there in the task manager. Now, if you're not a massive fan of that function, we can just go ahead and disable the minimize the task, click apply. Now, if we do the same function by clicking, nothing will happen. Personally, I'm a much bigger fan of minimizing when I'm clicking the icon there, so I'm going to leave that enabled, but it's good for the people that don't quite like that function. Okay, so now just moving on to the overall kind of panel settings. It's been made a lot easier just to overall edit things, and especially the size. So as you can see, we now have a programmable number to set the size of our panel, which brings it in line with pretty much every other desktop environment out there. And again, I think it just makes things a whole lot easier, especially if someone like me, I have multiple machines and most of them do have the KDE desktop in some flavour running. And I often like to have quite a uniformed approach and look across all of my different desktops on different devices. And having a programmable number just makes life a whole lot easier. So say if you wanted your panel to be size 36 across all of your desktops, you could then make a mental note, okay, I like my panel size 36, and then go into your next computer and set your panel size to 36, as opposed to the old way where you'd be sort of dragging it to the position you want and kind of doing a bit of guesswork there. So let's go ahead and just put that back into the default of 46. Now moving along to our kind of system tray and clock area. Again, not so much a new feature, but you'll notice that the clock now has like a compact view of the date below the actual time there. Nothing amazing, but I'm going to wonder how that looks when you actually shrink the panel and whether it's still readable. So let's give that a go now. So if we go down, let's say to 36, okay, that's still readable. Okay, so this is where it's going to start getting quite hard to make out what the actual date and time is. But I think anything above 30, at least for me, it's still kind of readable, and I can see that it says 16/10/2020. But again, the larger you go, the easier it is, of course, going to be able to see. So not a massive new feature, but something that just makes using the desktop a lot easier if you need to quickly glance over and check the date. Now, if we click our little button here to expose our status and notifications area, you can see that we are now using a grid-like layout as opposed to the old school sort of list view that it was before. Now, as well as just looking more visually appealing and attractive, it will also make selecting things for people that are using touchscreen input a whole lot easier due to the spacing, just making things overall a lot easier just to use your finger to hit that function. Now, as you can see in our little notification bell, we're currently on Do Not Disturb. So the old way of doing things, you'd have to click the Do Not Disturb to open up your notification section, and then you'd have to press this little checkbox there to enable or disable Do Not Disturb mode. Well, in this version of KDE 5.20, they've made things a whole lot easier. You can now just click the middle button on your mouse to disable or enable that, and the middle button on most mouses is going to be pressing down on your scroll wheel. So let's give that a go now. Perfect, so it's working absolutely fine, and again, it's just little touches like that that make using the desktop a whole lot faster. Now, we do have some new on-screen visual pop-ups for things like sound, brightness. Unfortunately, I'm not on my laptop, so there will also be a couple of other things that we can't show in today's video, but we can show the visual pop-up that we're going to get for sound. Let's have a look. Okay, so just a very nice, clean, non-intrusive pop-up for your sound, and let's see how that looks with a full-screened application window. So again, let's go into our sound. Yep, so you can easily make it out. I don't think there's any shadowing behind it, just floating there. Yeah, no, nice, non-intrusive and clean looking. Perfect. Right, let's close that off, and we're going to get to my favourite part. Now, it might seem a bit small to most, but I'm a massive user of application launchers regardless of which desktop I'm using. For example, in XFCE, I will use an application launcher called Albert, which is actually one of my favourites. But KDE has its own inbuilt application launcher, which is very capable, and it's called KRunner. As you can see, it always has opened up by default in the top screen in the central position. And to me, I've always found that a bit of an annoyance, but what we can do now is go into the settings, and we can make it more of a free-floating window with the option to move the position from top to centre. Now again, a very small change there, but something that for me is going to make a world of difference and bring it in line with all of the other sort of application launchers that we're used to using across different distributions and operating systems. So let's go ahead and apply that and check it out. Now, I've not checked this out yet, so this is going to be the first time me seeing this. Okay, we're applied. Let's just close that for the moment. Oh, it's those little things like that just make me quite happy to use KDE. So it just, for me, that makes it look a whole lot more modern. So let's go and test this out of a search. So let's go and open up, let's say, Firefox. Hit enter. So it's going to open up a new window there in Firefox, and I do believe another new function is it's automatically going to remember prior text that you've just written into it. So let's give that a go. So we've opened it up, and as you can see there, it does say fire, but fortunately it's highlighted it by default, which means you won't have to go and backspace things and, you know, take up additional time and key presses. It's already highlighted. So say if we wanted to open up Dolphin, we could then just do the first few characters of Dolphin and open it up like so, and it just works, and it's very quick, very nice. And as you can see there, of course, it has also remembered Dolphin, so that should just make using KRunner a whole lot more intuitive. So a few more other things about the KRunner. It's also gained the ability to open and insert pages in the Falcon web browser. Now, I'm not a massive user of the Falcon web browser, but that's good for those who are. Now, what we're going to do is move on to the system settings, which has also seen its fair share of new improvements. And I'm quite happy about that, because the system settings has always been one thing that I found KDE could do a lot better at. So it's kind of quite overwhelming for a new user, because there's a lot of settings here that you need to go through to find the individual setting that you are looking for. But we now have this little button here for highlight change settings, which means we can click that and then we can go through things and see what's been changed from the defaults. And as you can see, we have a little dot there next to search, so of course we can jump into that, see what the settings are, and then change them back to the default, or of course we could leave them as is. So let's go ahead and try that out with something else then. So let's go into, say, our global theming, and let's change to Breeze Dark and see if that will go into highlighted change. And as you can see now, we've got a few
Hey, it's Andrew Huang. Super simple video today. I want to show you a couple ways to make huge 808 sounds because it's 808 day, August 8th. So I'm going to show you two things today. I'm going to show you my absolutely favorite tool that you can buy to make amazing sounding 808s, and it makes it really easy. But if that's not for you, I'm also going to show you how to make your own 808s completely from scratch just using basic stock plugins. Quick little history lesson, just in case you don't already know. The original 808 kick drum is from the Roland TR-808 drum machine that came out in like the early 80s. I think. So far, so good on our history lesson. So it's like a cool analog kick drum sound, a classic sound, but a far cry from what we now consider 808s, which is like... So originally people opened up these drum machines and modified the electronics to extend the tone and the range of these 808s. But now we kind of just call anything an 808 if it's that nice, deep, round kind of blend between a kick and a bass synthesizer. Yeah, history lesson over. Let's make some 808s. Okay, if you just want to throw money at the screen and be done with it, I cannot recommend Sublab enough. This is a plugin from Future Audio Workshop, and I use it all the time. Makes amazing 808s. I'll just give you a quick demo. So it's pretty basic. There are three sound sources. There's a synth, there's a sampler where you can use samples that it comes with or load your own, and then there's this thing that they call X-Sub, which just adds extra simple harmonics to kind of fatten the sound up. So let's hear them one by one. Here's the synth. Here's the sample in this preset, and here's X-Sub. So put them all together. I'll just go through a couple presets so you can hear the range of subs you can get out of this. It's really great. So each of these three sound layers can be tweaked in the usual ways that you'd expect to be able to tweak a sample and a synth, but then they also give you a filter, there's a mixer between those three sounds, and then you get a distortion and a compressor after that. So it's really easy, but it sounds awesome, and I think I've seen it for like $40 and $70. I don't know what the real price is, but yeah, it's a pretty good deal. But if you don't have $70 and you don't have $40, let me show you how to make your own. Delete Sublab. I'm going to just bring in a sampler. This is Ableton's basic sampler device. After this, we're gonna put an EQ and a compressor. Now you're gonna grab a sound, and it can be pretty much any sound, and you're gonna put it in the sampler. I'm gonna use something from my new sample pack just to promo my sample pack a bit. Space Slime, it's on Splice. But let's choose something that's as far away from an 808 as possible. Like how about a hi-hat? Sure, first one I grabbed, drag the sample in. Now we're gonna click loop, and we're going to drag this loop region in super small. We're gonna zoom way in, basically making this a single cycle waveform. That sounds pretty good. So it's just looping a tiny piece of this sound and turning it into an oscillator. Now we're gonna do a couple things with the amplitude envelope and the pitch envelope. Amplitude envelope's gonna look like this, just like tiny bit more attack than the rest of the sustain and release. Actually, we'll do a pretty short release as well. And then a similar shape on the pitch envelope. I'll turn this amount up. And you can like drag this decay to taste. So what we're doing here, it's actually pretty cool. But a far cry from synth. They also give you a filter. There's a mixer between those three sounds, and then you get a distortion and a compressor after that. So it's really basic sample. Drag the sample in. Now we're going to click loop, and we're going to drag.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You're mimicking how a real drum behaves. So you've got like a drum skin stretched over a resonating cavity, and when you first hit that drum skin, you're hitting it really hard, so it's gonna vibrate loud and really quickly. But because the skin is so tight, it's gonna slow down pretty quickly, and also the sound is going to get a little quieter as it rings out. So you have a sound that's very loud at the beginning and then sustains, and then you also have the pitch being higher at the beginning but quickly dropping down. With our EQ, we want this low cutoff somewhere just below the lowest note that you're gonna play in your song. Because we're using this random cycle and having it oscillate at kind of a random place that just whatever sounds good to us, we're going to want to cut any frequencies that happen to be lower than that main fundamental note that we're hearing, just to keep it clean. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is roll off some mids and highs, and this is gonna be really dependent on what sample you've chosen. For me, I think I need to do quite a lot of work here. Actually, maybe we can low shelf a bit and really bring out that boominess. Oh, and also I just have a default compressor on here, but we should have a bit more attack. Actually, what if I try an EQ3? Yeah, dipping a lot of the mids with the EQ3 seems to be better. We could also see if we could get a different part of this sample that sounds better. I'm feeling like maybe a less active part of the waveform would give us more of a low round tone. Oh, there it is. Yeah. So as you can see, it takes a little bit of experimentation, but it's pretty fun messing around with it. And yeah, you're looking for kind of that rounder tone. The compressor settings are also really important, and I'm like smashing it a ton because if you just look at the part of the sample I've grabbed, the level is not so hot there, so the threshold you're gonna have to set according to the volume of the sample that you're using. But the essential thing is letting in a good amount of the attack first and then having it clamp down so that you really get that punch. Let me turn the compressor off, but match the volume so you can hear the difference. Right, when you have that relatively big attack time, I've got it at 84 milliseconds here, it just lets a huge amount of volume through before pushing it down so that you get the sensation of that drum hit. Now to finish this up, I'm gonna throw a tuner on here, and let's just tune this so that when I play a C, it is actually a C. Oh, it was pretty close. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is find a note that we like. Gonna get our EQ perfectly right. And then we're going to record this note to audio because you have your EQ emphasizing that note that you like, but you don't want to have to move the EQ around whenever you play a different note. So if we just print this to audio, you have a sample that you can play across your keyboard and it's going to sound great everywhere. Well, maybe not like really high up. Cool, just put that right on that beat and we will flatten it. Boom, we got an 808. And then, you know, you can warm that up with some distortion, saturation. Whew! Okay, check this out. Roland sent me these a couple years ago now, actually, on 808 Day. 808 color scheme, collaboration with Puma. Shoes. Even says Rhythm Composer TR-808 right on there. So I've got this pair of shoes. I think they're cool, but they're not really my style, says the guy in the 808 shirt. So I feel like what I'm gonna do is just, if you want these, they're 9.5 by the way, US men's. If you want these shoes, I will mail them to one random person. Just, how about share this video? No, how about share any of my videos on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, tag me, and use the hashtag 808day. I will pick one random person to send these shoes to within like the next week. So fresh, so clean. Wow. These can be yours. Do the thing. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Hey, it's Andrew Huang. Hey, it's Andrew Huang. I'm super excited about today's video because we're gonna get into a bunch of amazing sounds, but the main reason is actually because it's getting really cold here in Toronto, and I'm gonna go to Florida. So this is pretty cool. Do you remember my video about all those TV companies that wanted me to pitch them a show and then none of them liked my idea? I made that idea anyway. I went to the Netherlands and filmed this musical travel show where the concept would be that I would have to make the score for the show within the show, and I would be using all of the sounds and inspiration that I would get while I was traveling for the music. So VSPC, Visit St. Pete Clearwater, saw that video, they loved it, and they wanted to sponsor exactly that, but in St. Pete and Clearwater in Florida. So here I am making Music is Everywhere, the official second episode. I'm pumped. Right now we're headed to the Clearwater Marine Aquarium, which is also a marine hospital. They rescue and rehabilitate and release sea creatures, which is amazing. Already such great sounds at the aquarium. Great sounds. Oh my goodness. What is going on over there? This is Boomer. He just loves swimming in circles, and it's amazing. So this is really exciting. I had no idea what to expect when we were coming to the aquarium, but they're gonna bring us around to some dolphins and just record a bunch of dolphin sounds.
All right, so this is our youngest resident home.
Adorable.
Right? Try this one more. Thank you.
I'm learning so much about this place. This is where they filmed Dolphin Tale. Amazing. And also, all the animals here are only here to either be rehabilitated so they can be released back into the wild, or they're here because they've been deemed unfit for the wild. You know, they have something going on that prevents them from being able to fend for themselves out in the wild, so they take care of them here. So the music you've been hearing is something I just quickly made this afternoon. I was really inspired by hearing Kelsey from the aquarium talk about the animals that they rescue and rehabilitate, in particular Winter, the dolphin with the prosthetic tail who was in the movie Dolphin Tale, and how she's inspired so many people to persevere through life's toughest obstacles, especially traumatic physical injuries. And I just started playing with this sound. This is like one dolphin squeak. I think that was Hope, and I slowed it down to 25%, and I just put it through a little bit of reverb and delay and grain delay, and now it sounds like this. And I started playing that a little bit on the keyboard, and it just kind of came out really underwatery feeling and hopeful, I hope. So you were just hearing all of this, and it's all dolphin sounds. Slowing down the clicks that they make turned into all kinds of different drums. Like, here's the kick drum. I slowed that down, way down. And I took two of those and layered them up to make this kick. This one, slowed down. Sounds like a little rim shot. These are some blowhole exhalations. Taking short pieces of them and fading them out makes perfect snare drums. Chop those same sounds but high pass them for a hi-hat sound. I also use this chirp and just cut it up to the rhythm of my music. This high-pitched chirp might be my favorite. Slow that down. Put a pitch envelope on it. and then added some delay. This is the most amazing thing though. Just a high-pitched whistle, but pitch shifting it down, it's like the dolphin was singing 2 minor chords. This dolphin's in B flat minor. I also took this whistle and lower, that sounds like this. And then I just played what the dolphin sang. Put a little filter on it too. So altogether, those things sound like this. Headed to a glass studio now. This is super exciting. When I was a kid, someone came to my school and demonstrated glass blowing, and they also blew my mind. And ever since then, I've been obsessed with glass blowing, but I've never really gotten to see it up close, so this is gonna be awesome.
My name is Bao Tao. I'll be working, I'm guessing you, Andrew, right? Nice to meet you.
Okay. Safety first. We're gonna smash some stuff now.
Yes.
You actually smash stuff pretty regularly?
Yeah. So we end up accumulating a pretty large pile of things to smash that have like flaws or didn't come out right.
Are you able to reuse that glass?
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything that we have, we can reuse.
That's great. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Let's break some stuff.
A couple of ornaments here. Let me bring a couple of other pieces too. We're gonna smash it right here in the center of the.
That was so fun. Dream come true. I think we're headed to shuffleboard now. We're at the world's largest shuffleboard club. It's not open yet, got the place to ourselves, so we can get some good sounds. And you got 10! So we've got this hockey stick tube that's full of little glass beads, and they put that on the surface of the court to make things go faster. Late night work party. I just discovered this one dolphin sound. If you pitch it down 2 octaves, it sounds just like the sirens that they use like in the background of a song, you know, to get you all hyped up. One of my favorite sounds from today was the shuffleboard biscuits hitting each other. By the way, yeah, they're called biscuits. Fun for fills or layering on top of the other snare sounds. Give them some resonance, you know? All right, now I'm gonna go to the gym and we will get some more sounds tomorrow. Some of the art in this town is seriously incredible. Quick stop at this super cute lunch spot, Bodega, and they're gonna let us record a little bit of sound in their kitchen. It looks delicious. Let's see what we get. Thank you, it was amazing. Okay, we're headed across the street now to Green Bench. We've got permission to go kind of behind the scenes and record some sounds of like all the machinery for packing up cans of beer. All right, we're capping off the day with a visit to the Vitale brothers. These guys have amazing murals all around the city. You can hear the spray paint shaking already. Get some sounds and make some art. How's it going? I'm Andrew.
How's it going, Andrew?
Nice to meet you,
man.
I'm gonna try and add a music note to this beautiful art right now. I haven't spray painted anything in years, but I think I could do a music note. I'm happy with that.
You couldn't have done that better.
Okay, headed back home now to cold Canada. Had a great time in St. Pete and Clearwater, and you've been hearing the track that I was inspired to make coming together throughout this video. I'm gonna do some final polishing on it, but you get to hear it right now. Hey, it's Andrew Huang, and this is Lake Louise in Banff, Alberta. During the summer. But in today's video, I'm gonna be trying to record a song there in sub-zero temperatures in the middle of the lake while it's frozen over. Why am I doing this? Well, story time. I was in Banff for a conference. By the way, how fun is the word Banff? Banff! I was in Banff for a conference 3 years ago. 3:30 a.m. I slept for like 2 hours, and now I'm awake. So I'm gonna explore this huge fancy hotel that they put me up in and try to write a song. Little did I know, I was about to write one of my favorite songs that I've ever written. I was just so inspired being in this hotel surrounded by forests and mountains. I was staying an extra day just to drive to Lake Louise because it's one of my favorite places on the planet, and I just wrote this beautiful thing that night that I couldn't sleep. There was no one else awake in this hotel, not even staff, so I just wandered alone with my thoughts, thinking of melodies and lyrics. They even had this parlor with a piano in it that I very quietly figured out my chords on. And I was filming this thinking it would just be like one of my average videos, like showing me working on a song, then you hear the song, write and record it in a week or two. But no, the song was just too good, and I've been trying to perfect it on and off for the past 3 years. I've had the amazing Grant Stinnett helping out with orchestral arrangements. It's gonna be totally gorgeous, and we are finally gonna finish it in this video. The thing that's actually giving me the kick in the pants to bring it to the finish line right now is that I've been invited back to Banff. Banff! Travel Alberta asked if they could fly me out there to make music inspired by Banff, and I was like, 1, already on it, 2, I will go to Banff any chance that I get, and 3, how great would it be to record my vocal performance for the song on Lake Louise, in the middle of the actual beautiful place that inspired it. So we're gonna head out there and try to do that right after I make some travel montage music. So they're putting me up at the Banff Center, which is like a performing arts school, but it's also just this whole complex with venues and hotels, lots of nature. Just breathing the air here and being around all these trees and mountains is already bringing back so much of that feeling that inspired this song in the first place. But I just know when we get to that magical spot at Lake Louise, it's gonna be like, I think I see a deer. Isn't nature incredible? Okay, so you know what? I made that terrible dad joke, and then immediately after this happened, and I only have the wide-angle lens with me. Yeah. I did want to say though that musical inspiration comes from anywhere, and if you've watched my channel, you've seen me make music with like water and balloons, the simplest things. You don't have to find inspiration by traveling across the country and taking a dog sled or a helicopter, but if you have the chance. 10 p.m. I'm headed to the little lounge in the lobby to hopefully make the music you just heard. All right, so this track you've been hearing is mostly sounds that I recorded from our winter activities. I did add some drums, but everything else came from skiing or dog sledding or riding a helicopter. The helicopter actually makes an amazing riser sound when it's just starting up. There's also these little bits that are just like cymbals. Once I put a little high pass EQ on them, plus some reverb in some places. That's just a little piece of helicopter. The sort of hi-hat sounds here are just chopped up dog breaths. And then the main awesome bass sound is this dog bark that I've just pitched down and overdriven. And then with the overdrive coming in, put some reverb on the skis for nice little transitions. And then that lead synth sound is actually a dog. And I've just taken off the beginning part and the end part, looped it, so that I can hold it for as long as I want and play it like a synthesizer. We film a little on the way over here. Do you mind being in it at all?
I don't mind.
Okay. I'm here with Jim Ulver from the Banff Center.
Banff Center for Arts and Creativity, and we're delighted to have you here enjoying Alberta.
So we're in the middle of the woods right now, and they've just got all these little studios.
There we go. Come on in.
Wow. Ooh, it's nice and toasty. And you were saying you have 106
We have 106 pianos.
At the Banff Center.
Of course, when you have 55 private rehearsal studios, you gotta have a piano in each one.
Well, well prepared. So this is pretty amazing. Cozy little studio to hang out in the middle of the woods. Joni Mitchell has worked here before. Yeah, pretty stoked. I'm gonna add some piano to the Lake Louise song now. So I don't tend to travel with a mic stand, but they had this blanket lying around, which is working great for our purposes. that was the last take I needed. The sun really went down fast here. I'm about to head to dinner with Phil and Essa, but I just wanted to share a couple things about this piano stuff first. I wanted to talk about one of the main chords that I use in this song. C, G, A, C, D. It's like a variant of C major, but you take away the E, and then you replace it with an A and a D. And I normally hate that sixth flavor. Okay, hate is a pretty strong word, but this major chord with a sixth sound, or the variant that I just showed you, I just really try to avoid that sound. I've never really drawn to it in any song, and in Lake Louise, I just had to have that type of chord in that position. I don't know why. There's like this openness to it. I wish I could give you something more juicy and technical about it, but it's just, it feels open, it feels light. It gives me that feeling that I want when I'm dealing with one of the most beautiful places on earth. All right, I'm getting packed up to go. Super excited that this all worked out. I got to use a real piano in Banff. I don't have a piano at home. This song would have had a software piano on it otherwise. And tomorrow, we're gonna try and record on the lake. Okay, so today is the day. We're going to Lake Louise. Gonna try and record there. All right, we're like 3 minutes away here. For 2 potential ways to record, either with the portable audio recorder or like a bit more of a proper way with the Arrow and a microphone on a laptop. I'm just gonna bring this all with me and hope we can get something. I'm walking up now, and I just wanted to share a little bit more about this song because it's so special to me, and it's about more than just nature being beautiful, because when I'm in this place, I'm like confronted with my own insignificance, and from that feeling, all this gratitude wells up just about, you know, even in my tiny life, I can stand at the foot of this amazing mountain range and appreciate that and live a life and find love and make music. So it's just amazing. Anyway, here we are. You gotta look at this. It's amazing. Middle of the lake right here. This is a terrible idea. I'm ready if you're ready.
We're rolling here.
If I'm on my knees, but I lay in the dust, take me to Lake Louise. Okay. Stopping point.
Can you cheat that way a bit more?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Here?
Yeah.
Take me to Lake Louise. Sorry, I missed it. Always feel your breath carried on the breeze. Yes! It definitely is gonna work. I think this is gonna sound great. Can't believe we did this. I'm so cold. I feel like people aren't gonna believe that this isn't a studio recording, but this is this mic going into this here right now. If it weren't so cold, I would record on frozen lakes all the time. Wow, I don't think I could be happier with how that went. Making the trek back to land now, I guess. And I'm gonna go work on these vocals back at the hotel. A union is a mountain that stands 100,000. Back at the hotel, this is definitely gonna work. It just sounds like a studio, like we're out in the middle of a lake in a completely different environment than you normally would be recording, but I think because it's so open, because there's all this snow around, there's just not a lot of bounce back. It's just a nice recording environment. And I'm just so happy that I got to sing this love song to Mother Nature in the exact spot where I was inspired to write it. So I'm gonna mix these vocals back in with the instruments that I recorded at home and share that with you now.
Doesn't make a difference to you if I'm on my knees, but I lay in the dust and do pray my soul to keep. I couldn't be the fountain or the trees. Take me to Lake Louise. Tell you music from noise and what it meant to me, but it all sinks in the water, so blue, so deep. Oh please, take me to Lake Louise. Doesn't make a difference to you if I'm on my knees, but I lay in the dust and do pray my soul to keep. I always feel your breath carried on the breeze. Oh please, take me to Lake Louise. Take me to Lake Louise. Take me to Lake Louise. Take me to Lake Louise.
Can you cheat that way a bit more?
You open the terminal again and check your default swappiness value. Now it is 10, so this way your Ubuntu will use more RAM and little less of the swap space, which will increase the performance. You can also gain some performance by enabling the drive cache, but this would probably work if you have HDD drive, and you will not notice much benefit if you use SSD drive, so I would recommend to do that only for the HDD users. So you open the application disks, select your main drive here, if you have several drives for example, go to the settings, click drive settings, and go to the tab write cache, and here you just need to enable this feature. You can also read these warnings that you may lose your data if for example your computer shut down unexpectedly because of electricity cut for example. But I have used this feature for many years and I have never ever had any problems. So I believe the performance benefit is still worth it enabling this feature. So give it a try if you use a slow HDD drive, and I believe you will notice some performance improvements. But again, if you use an SSD drive, that may not be necessary. On the other hand, for SSD users, I recommend to reduce the number of SSD writes, which will extend the lifespan of your SSD drive. You need to open the terminal and open the file with gedit, and the file is atc fstab. Type your password, and here you search for the word errors, and before that word you need to type noah time. This way the number of writes to your SSD will be reduced. If you have several partitions, for example this is my root partition, but you may also have a home partition here, you can add this word to the home partition as well. Then you save this file, and after the next reboot these settings will come to play, and number of writes to your SSD drive will be little reduced, which will also extend the lifespan of your SSD drive. If you are watching this video, you must be curious and creative. The default is just not enough for you. So you may like the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare offers thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people just like you. It is a great place to explore web development, video making, photography, writing, freelancing, and more. I believe you may like this tutorial on how to handcode your first website by Rich Armstrong, where you will learn basics of HTML and CSS. Everything is presented in a simple way and visually narrated, so in about an hour you will get your first hand-coded website as I did. I like Skillshare because it is a curated platform, so videos are top quality, concise and optimized for learning. The first 1000 of my subscribers to click on the link in the description would be able to explore thousands of inspiring Skillshare videos with 2 months free premium membership. I would say installing Synaptic is an optional thing to do after installing Ubuntu, because Synaptic is quite old software manager, but I still recommend you to install it, especially if you want to learn more about Linux, because this software manager includes many more softwares which are not visible in the default software manager. So you search for Synaptic, here it is, and install it. Close Software Manager and search for Synaptic in your menu. Let's open it. And now, as you can see, you see detailed information about every package available for installation on your system, as well as you can go to the Status tab here and select only installed packages, and you will see all the installed application in this software manager. It is much more useful than using the default and user-friendly Ubuntu software manager. So if you want to be a little more advanced user or you want to learn more about Linux, I highly recommend you to install Synaptic and use it for installation of specific packages. We will use it a couple of times during this video and you will see all the benefits of this software manager. Ubuntu Restricted Extra includes many packages which are very useful for everyday use for desktop users. For example, it includes many codecs which are necessary to play some video formats, but they are not installed by default in Ubuntu because of some licensing issue. But you can still install them yourself, so let's do that. You open terminal here and type sudo apt install Ubuntu Restricted Extras. In addition to this, I also recommend you to install Ubuntu Restricted Add-ons. And if you play DVD disc, you can also install this package. Press enter, enter your password, and say yes for the installation of these programs. Here you need to agree with the user license to install Microsoft Fonts. You press Tab to select OK, and then you press Enter. Here again you need to press Tab to select Yes, and press Enter. Again, to install libdvd library you need to press OK here, so you press Enter. You can also enable automatic upgrades, you press Enter again. The installation of these packages takes quite some time, so that's why I speed up this part in the video. But you will need to wait quite a while to install them. So after these packages are installed, you will be able to play almost any video or audio formats, and in addition to this, these packages also include Microsoft fonts, such as Times New Roman, which will be necessary for Microsoft LibreOffice compatibility. I don't recommend installing Flash Player because of the security reasons, but I know myself that sometimes you need it because some very old websites still use it, and especially if you need to access those websites, you need Flash Player installed on your system. So if you're one of those persons who still need to use Flash Player, you can open Synaptic. This is actually the case where I will show you how we can use Synaptic. And search for Flash here. Then you just need to scroll to the letter F and find Flash Plugin Installer. Select it for installation by Mark for installation and click Apply. You can also select here automatically close the window after all the changes have been successfully applied. Now Flash Player is installed and you will be able to access those old websites which still use Flash. To install Java environment, you open Synaptic and search for Open GDK. And here you will see all the available Java versions which you can install on your system. The default one is version 11, so you select it here for the installation. But if you need the newer version of Java, you can also scroll down and find version 13 and version 14, for example. Or you can also install older version, which is version 8. That's another benefit of Synaptic Package Manager. So you can see all the available versions of software which you can install in Ubuntu. We apply these changes, and after the program is installed, you should be able to use Java programs on your desktop. Speaking about additional applications, there are many programs you can install. In this video I will show what I think is probably the most frequently needed applications for regular users. And the first one is alternative browser. Of course you can use Firefox, but I know that many users prefer Chrome, or you can install Chromium, which is an open source version of Google Chrome. You can open Software Manager, or you can of course use Synaptic if you prefer that, and you search here Chromium. Here it is, select it and install. Basically Chromium has almost exactly the same features as Google Chrome, but it is an open source, that's why I recommend it over Google Chrome. You go to the menu and open it just to test. Here it is, it looks exactly like a regular Google Chrome. So the next application is a little bit controversial. This is a video player. Ubuntu already has a video player, which is pre-installed here by default, and it is quite decent and good video player. But it may not always play very well some of the formats. So that's why I also recommend you to install additional player. And for this particular case, I will recommend you to install celluloid video player, which is getting very popular. So you search for celluloid player, open its page, and here you click installation. Then you search for Ubuntu here, click on this page, and you will be able to see the repository which you need to add to your Ubuntu to be able to install this player. You copy it, open terminal, press Ctrl-Shift-V to install it, or you can use right click and paste, press enter, type your password, press enter to add this repository.
Test.
Then you can just copy this command to update your system and type sudo apt install celluloid. Yes. After the installation, you should be able to find this player in your menu. You can open it. It is quite minimal video player, but it's considered to be little better than the default GNOME player. So give it a try and let me know in the comments if you like it. I also prefer to use an alternative audio player. In Ubuntu, you could use Rhythmbox, which is installed by default, but I don't like this player because you cannot choose specific folder and play music only in that folder. You need to kind of manage and create your audio library as a whole. But for example, if you open your audio library with Clementine, here you can go to Files and select specific folder which you want to play, for example this one. Select all the files and play them here. It also has many other features which you can explore here. For example, you can play different internet media services. But if it's too complicated for you, there is another alternative which is called Audacious. I also like this player because of its minimalism, but it still has all the necessary features to play audio files. For example, here you can click Open Files, go to your music folder and select specific folder and play specific files. This is how these files will look in Audacious music player. So all these players are available in Ubuntu software, just go there and install them. And let me know in the comments which one do you prefer. I also know that many desktop users use such application as a Dropbox. Now the installation of this program is very easy. You just need to search for it in the software manager, select it here and install. Next you open it from the menu. It will download the Dropbox installer. You will see the icon appearing here in the top menu, and then you just need to log into your Dropbox account and all your Dropbox documents to your Ubuntu desktop.
Okay, we're still good.
If you need to edit any picture, I also recommend you to install GIMP application. This is an alternative to Photoshop. It is very good and I use it all the time to create all the graphics on my YouTube channel. Again, you just simply install it from the software manager. After the installation, you open it from the menu. And this is how GIMP looks. If you're a Spotify user, you can also install it in Ubuntu and stream all your music library through the Spotify. Just go to the Software Center, search for Spotify and install it. I know also that in current situation, many of us have to work from home and use different online meeting tools. For example, if you still use Skype, you can also find Skype in the software manager and install it from here, but most likely you have already switched, for example, to Zoom, which is also available in Ubuntu. Search for it in the Software Center. It's not at the top unfortunately for the moment, but here it is. And you can install Zoom from here as well and use it in your Ubuntu. And it works very well in Linux environment. I have tested it myself for the last 3 months. If you need some more advanced text editor, for example if you write code, you can install VS Code. Here it is. It's available in the software manager. Or alternatively, you may also prefer Sublime text editor, which is also available in Ubuntu. Just click here to install it. And also, if you need any tool to make your notes, you can install such application such as Simple Note, which is very popular. Or for example, you can install application which I use, which is called Cherry Tree. Here it is. I have reviewed this application in my The Best Note-taking software on Linux video. You can watch it by clicking on this card here. If you're a gamer, you would probably need to install Steam application, which is also available in the Ubuntu Software Manager. Here it is, and it's again just one-click install and you will have access to plenty of games on Linux. GNOME Sushi is a special application, that's why I separated it into another thing to do after installing Ubuntu, because I believe it deserves a special attention. Let me show you this application. You open Synaptic, and search for GNOME-Sushi. Here it is, select it, mark for installation, and apply. Now let's close Synaptic and open File Manager, go to my videos, and here, for example, I select a video file, and then I just press space, and you see I can preview this video right from the File Manager, without the need to open it with a special application. But of course there is option to open it with videos, for example here. Then you press escape and you exit this application. You can do the same for many other files. For example, you can preview an image. You press space and it will open in this preview window. That's a feature which is very popular in macOS, so I believe many Ubuntu users will also appreciate it. Another application which I would like to show you as a separate thing to do after installing Ubuntu is to install the password manager, because I believe this is very essential application and very few users know about it. If you go to your software manager and search for the application which is called KeePassX, you will be able to install this program here. Enter your password. This is my favorite password manager, so let me show you how to use it. You create a database where you store all your passwords, but you encrypt it only with one password. So you just click create a new database, passwords, continue. So now you need to enter the encryption password. So this password needs to be very complicated, but something that you will remember, or you can write it down somewhere and hide it in a safe place. But for this experiment I will type a simple password, because it's just a test. My video on 30 things to do after installing Ubuntu 18.04 is the most popular video on the channel. In this video, you will learn even more extensive list of things to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04. This is 50 things to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04. Let's get started. And the first thing I recommend to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04 is to configure Software and Updates Manager. For that, you go to the menu, open Software and Updates, and in this application you go to Download From, and here you choose Other. Then you just need to click Select Best Server, and Ubuntu will analyze all available servers in your location and pick the one which is the fastest. You click Choose Server, and close the application. You will need also to reload the list of available software here, and now whenever you update your system or install a program, all the packages will be downloaded from the fastest server in your location. And the second essential thing to do after installing Ubuntu 20.04 is to install any necessary drivers. For that, you go to the menu and search for additional drivers. Open this application. It will automatically analyze your hardware and define if you can install any drivers. Usually it will suggest you proprietary drivers here. So I already have all the drivers necessary for VirtualBox installed on my system, But if you have a dedicated graphic card like AMD or Nvidia, you will be probably suggested to install any drivers here. So you just need to choose the appropriate. You open the terminal again and check your default swappiness value. Now it is 10, so this way your Ubuntu will use more RAM and little less of the swap space, which will increase the performance.
I had wrote the date down for this first one. I'm still holding this thing, but I already know it. Turn this off.
Thank you for calling the City of San Antonio's 311 call center. The 311 customer service office is now closed. If this is an emergency requiring police, fire, or EMS, please hang up and dial 911.
Why did it say 311? I called the number for the fire department.
San Antonio 911, this is Billy. Do you need police, fire, or EMS?
Fire, please.
Okay, stay on the line. I'm getting you connected to them. Do not hang up.
Okay. No. It's not an emergency, though. Well, kind of.
You have reached the fire and stay on the line. They'll be right with you.
Thank you.
All the representatives are currently handling another emergency call. Usted se ha comunicado con los departamentos de bomberos y EMS.
San Antonio Fire and EMS. What's the address of your emergency?
It's actually, well, it's not like an immediate emergency. I tried to call the fire department direct, but I don't know if I had a bad number. But the address is 2614 Amity Road.
2614 Amity. Is that a house or apartment?
It's a house.
What's your name?
Ryan Ellis. It's E-L-L-I-S.
Mr. Ellis.
Yes.
Phone number?
210-380-8041.
So what's going on?
So I called a couple months back, and I guess made like a report, or like I have an incident number. I talked with a Lieutenant Jesse Vera, and I have a really odd situation. So I own a Geiger-Muller counter that detects harmful radiation. Back when I called, I was receiving spikes of harmful radiation above, like, the safe. It was outside of the safe bracket, about double. And I have photos and videos of my my Geiger counter, and they gave me the incident report. It just happened a couple times, then it was okay. And they told me if it, continued to happen, to do a follow-up. And so I've had it spike a few more times over the past couple of weeks, and tonight twice. And then I just basically took a photo and video of my instrument here, of it spiking. And just decided to call you guys. Not sure what to do in this type of situation.
So you're just sitting there with this Geiger counter in your home, and you're getting spikes.
That's correct. Yeah. Yeah, I packed a little bag, like, just in case. But yeah, it's a really odd situation. I don't really know what to do. I'm just doing the follow up like I was instructed.
And so what did they do the last time?
Just told me to monitor it, and if it kept happening, to do the follow up phone call.
All right. So let me look here on
Yeah, it's a pretty unusual situation. I don't really know what to make of it.
but you're not sick this time,
This time?
right? You said you called a couple months ago, talked to somebody about, did you get seen before on this same thing? A couple months ago?
No, I just spoke with somebody on the phone.
Okay.
I'm sick. Does it?
Okay.
Did I say that, or is it like on a report there? Or?
Did somebody else get sick?
No, I was just kind of curious where that came from. I've had gotten some migraines, um, and I had, you know what, I had thrown up a couple times, but I get really nasty migraines. They run in the family, and I thought that if it goes untreated long enough, like I will throw up. But now I'm kind of wondering, was this from my migraines, or does it have something to do with, is it linked and connected with this somehow? So I really almost actually just went uh, to my local or the fire department here close to where I live on WWY. I almost went in person rather than make the phone call, but yeah, I'm not really sure what to do. I figured you guys would know what to do.
How old are you?
I'm 34.
34.
Yes, sir. Just turned 34 on the 26th.
Okay, but right now you're just worried about the Geiger counter.
Yeah, spikes of harmful radiation. Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that is a concern, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but maybe how old is it? Is it calibrated? I mean, there's lots of things.
Yeah. Well, it's supposed to be factory calibrated. It comes with a little card showing what's safe, what's unsafe, and all that. And then, but yeah, like I said, definitely gotten some gnarly migraines. I feel like it's probably picking something up. How accurate it is, I don't know. Again, it's supposed to be factory calibrated. It's supposed to be good to go out of the box. But I mean, I figured it'd be up to a professional to make a determination on if there's something here or not.
Okay, do you take medication for anything, Ryan?
No, I do not. I do not.
Any medical history, any medical problems?
I'm sorry. No, go ahead.
You were going to say something?
No. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to send a police officer over there. They might have some way to look at that meter and see if it's calibrated right. And if they think the fire department's needed, they'll give us a call. Would that be all right?
You're going to send a police officer to determine to make an assessment on my instrument?
Well, that's what you're worried about, right? The instrument's spiking.
I'm worried about the radiation, and if my instrument's off, I would like shouldn't somebody come in with a good quality, like for sure instrument and make a determination, or am I, it seems just kind of like an odd response, man. I don't know.
Okay, well, they have,
because if this thing, listen, so it's like there's a chance that this is off, wrong, or right. If this is right, then that's kind of scary. So, wouldn't we all want somebody? I mean, I live with 2 other people as well. Yeah.
Okay, well, so I'm looking on the history, and you had a call like this 2 months ago, and it shows that you had the same Geiger counter. Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, I only spoke. Yes, it's the same one. Yeah. And when I called, it was still. I mean, it's still relatively new. But yeah, so they had told me before that I don't know. There was going to be some other agency that they're supposed to get a hold of, or that you guys are supposed to get a hold of, that would then step in to maybe handle the situation. Or, I mean, if this is radiation, I like ionizing radiation, but potentially, I mean, this thing was $100. I mean, it's a handheld. I kind of doubt people are buying this thing and it doesn't work,
Right. That's what I'm saying. Back in August, September, October, November, that's when you first bought it, right? Because I'm showing here on the notes that...
I could tell you here. I can tell you here in just a second exactly when I got it, but I mean, I'm not too sure what that. I mean, the fact is, it's for sure picking something up, and I personally, my body feel like that probably is correct. And I mean, I'm just kind of limited on what I can do and where I can go. I mean, I packed a little bag. I'm not really
You know
sure.
what?
Here,
Do you have a smartphone?
I do.
You do? Well, I have a clinical dispatcher that might be able to look at that if you send you and see what he thinks about the spikes on it, while it's going. So would that be all right with you?
I mean, it's not happening right now. But I recorded what happened already on photo and video. I'm just confused. I feel like there should be like a professional that would step in with professional equipment and try to figure something out. I mean, what are they gonna figure out by looking at my instrument? It seems kind of like a dead end to me, man. I'm a little confused here. Here, and let me tell you, I'm gonna show you. Let me tell you when this thing was bought here. Tell you exactly when if you're curious.
Well,
I mean, because they told me before that there was like, I don't know, somebody y'all were gonna get a hold of. We'd get a hold of. Oh shoot, I bought it July 17th actually. Is that
right?
But it's still, that's like, I mean, relatively speaking, it's not like it's years old and whatever. I mean,
What company made it and all that kind of stuff. That's why.
it's a company. It's a company called GQ. I mean, I don't know, I think that might be a little irrelevant though.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, are you all right with an officer coming over there and checking it first, and then if we're needed, you can call us.
Well, I mean, all I'm gonna be able to do is, I mean, if he looks at it and nothing's happening at the time that they're looking at it, and then all I can do is show them the photos and the videos of where it has spiked. Then what is so then if they look at that, that's the situation. Then what are they gonna determine off of that? What is that gonna mean?
Well, I don't know.
Because I mean, that's what the point of me taking the photos and the video of the recordings, because it's intermittent. It's not constant. It spikes and then it goes away. So when it happens and when it occurs, I record the incident as best I can. So if they come and they look but nothing's going on,
then everything should be all right.
Well, not if it keeps spiking up. They leave and then it starts spiking up and then there's a problem. I'm getting, and then we're over here getting hit. I mean, it's.
All right. Let me get one of my hazmat people on the phone and talk to you. Hold on a second.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I muted it. It's kind of odd is that the guy didn't even ask me for the incident number for the first report. Like, usually that's like the first thing they ask for. It's really weird.
Okay, I talked to him. He said sometimes that happens. It normally spikes like that. Are you there?
I'm here.
He said that even our instruments do that, where it's just every now and then it spikes. It doesn't mean anything. That's normal.
No, not if it's giving me migraines and causing me to vomit. That's not normal, sir. I didn't catch your name, by the way. Is it okay if I get your
So
name?
you have migraines now, and you're causing you to vomit again.
Not right this second, no, sir.
Okay.
And I didn't. I'm sorry. Can you give me your name?
My name's Barry.
Barry.
So
Is
did you
that?
want me to send an ambulance if you're having?
No, I'm not
migraines?
having symptoms right now. But no, those spikes. No. Normal, and it's even on the card with the instrument that I got. Normal is 0 to 50 CPM according to the calibration of this device, and that's normal background radiation. But anything that goes repeatedly and frequently, well, that's relative, up into double, or one time it showed like many times above, or many multiples into the harmful levels. I'm sorry, but that cannot be normal. I can't accept that. That's not normal. And then I'm sitting here wondering why I'm getting these gnarly migraines more frequent.
Do you need me to send you an ambulance? Do you have a migraine right now?
So again, sir, I'm okay for right now.
Well, all I can tell you is that what they told me. They said that it normally happens, that it spikes every now and again, and even our instruments do that.
Well,
Did you want me to send the police to
that's
see if they see it spiking?
that's not that's not
That's
normal.
the only other option I can think of.
That's not normal. No, they're. This is why I should have just came in person. Barry, is that first or last name?
My name is Barry Grams, Mr. Ellis.
Barry Grams. Okay.
You want to go to the fire station with your meter and show them that, or what do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if that's what that's originally what I intended on doing. I mean, this is.
That might be best.
Yeah, I mean, this is a serious health concern, and I feel like you're really not taking it seriously, and it's a bit confusing.
Okay. Well, I mean, if it was going off constantly, like right now, then I would think, okay, there's something going on there. But you're talking about a spike here and there, and you did a recording of it. And then I just talked to the hazmat people, and they said that's normal. So I'm just going by what my hazmat people say.
How is that normal? That's not normal background. A low level of background radiation is normal, but like intermittent spikes, many multiples into harmful levels is not normal. I don't know who told you that, but that is absolutely ridiculous. How is that normal? That's not normal.
Well, maybe
That doesn't make any sense. Having, if to the point.
Maybe in the morning or tomorrow you should take it to the fire station. You want to take it to the hill.
Is it open? Are all the departments open 24 hours? What are the hours?
Yeah, we're on 24. We're fire department. Yes, yeah. Go to the one downtown at number 1. They're a hazmat team. They're by the Alamo Dome.
I can't go to the one here just down the road from me.
Well, if you want to talk to the professional, the ones that know about hazmat, that's the one you would go to way over there by the Alamo Dome. Can we give you the address?
I mean, I can look. No, I can look it up.
It's 5105 North Cherry.
Man, this is just so peculiar, man. I'm just really surprised at the reaction. Because, the guys I talked to last time, I mean, acted like, something would be done. Like, they reassured me that, they would, like, yeah, we would, because I was asking them what protocol and procedure would be. And they're like, yeah, if it keeps happening, like, we would call so-and-so and whoever, and then, they would look into it. And they really, like, reassured me. And I'm talking to you, and you're very dismissive. I'm so confused. But I guess if that's all I'm gonna get from you, then I guess I will have to just take my person over there then. I don't know what else to do, man.
That would be the best thing. All right. I've got to take some other calls now.
Okay. All right. Is it Barry? What? Well, I guess I'll have to read a spike here and then maybe just call him back. The squeaky wheel gets the oil, man. I don't know how on earth this dude can say just, like, you didn't go talk to anybody. Man, what are you talking about? Yeah, that's normal. Yeah, harmful radiation. Spikes of harmful radiation is normal. The hell are you talking about, man? And this is why I record. This is why I record. Like, who says that? That is insanity. That is not normal. That's why there's a card with a bracket that says what is safe and what is unsafe, and for it to be peaking off into unsafe levels repeatedly. No. Let me try to get the number for that specific station, talk to somebody over there. You know, he didn't even offer to transfer me to that location. He didn't ask me for the incident number for the first report that was made. Like, you know what I mean? It was reluctant to give me his name. Just like the alleged SAPD woman I talked to that one time about another issue, and then she was being really just kind of nasty to me, and she knew she was, which is why she was reluctant to give me her name and badge number, but I recorded that one too. She knew she was being nasty. She did not want to tell me her name. That was such a bogus call. Oh yeah, let me stop this here. I do. There's a camera up in here. Well, I guess we're gonna have to catch a reading. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna have to go there in person. Let me also restart this real quick, so that way I can go and I'm gonna have to download this VOD.